Today, we're diving into a whole stack of material on a topic that I think it's fair to say gives pretty much everyone some professional anxiety, pitching ideas at work.
It's just universally stressful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And our sources, they tap right into the psychology of this. It doesn't matter if you're in a formal boardroom or, just tossing out a suggestion in a quick chat.
That tension is always there.
Always. You can believe your idea is absolutely brilliant, but there's still that big, big doubt, as one source puts it, until you see a positive reaction.
That's the moment of judgment.
Exactly.
And our mission today is really to conquer that doubt. We've gone through all the tips, the structural advice, and the specific language recommendations from the material to give you a really clear framework.
And this isn't just about what to say.
No, it's about understanding the strategy behind why you're saying it. This is your guide from that first opening line to the big closing statement, all designed to help you communicate your value with, confidence.
Before we even get into the structure of a pitch, we have to talk about the anxiety. The sources are clear that the #1 defense against stress is preparation, specifically practicing.
Right, but not just practicing in front of a mirror.
No, that's the key. The advice is to talk to people outside of your work bubble.
Your partner, a friend, someone who isn't buried in your industry's jargon.
Exactly. And the goal isn't just to get validation, it's a clarity check. If someone who's not an expert can get the core idea quickly, then you know it's tight. It's ready for a busy executive.
It's like you're filtering out all the internal noise, all the acronyms.
You are. And beyond that clarity check, the sources really emphasize being organized, and this is critical, enthusiastic. Your energy sells the idea almost as much as the words themselves.
Okay, but here's something fascinating I found. The material notes that sometimes it's actually easier to pitch over email than face-to-face.
It seems backwards, right?
Totally counterintuitive. We're always told, do it in person, make that connection.
But if you think about it, an email, well, it removes the immediate pressure of seeing their reaction. You don't see the raised eyebrow or the pen tapping. For some people, that little bit of distance just lowers the stakes enough so they can make a clearer, less stressed out pitch.
So it comes down to knowing yourself and your audience.
Absolutely. Do they prefer detailed text or do they respond better to that high-energy, in-person communication?
Yeah.
Just knowing you have that choice, email versus in-person, that's part of being prepared.
Okay, so regardless of the format, structure is king.
Structure is king.
Let's unpack that, and let's start at the very beginning, the critical open. If you take away just one thing about starting a pitch, it has to be this. You have to earn the next minute of their time.
Yes.
You've got to grab their attention immediately by summarizing your whole idea in the shortest possible time.
And that, of course, brings us right to the famous elevator pitch concept.
Right.
I mean, we all know what an elevator is, but
Right.
the real tension in that analogy is about focus. It's not just about being short for the sake of it.
It's about being so intensely focused that you can communicate huge value in just what? A few floors.
And that brevity, it signals confidence. It signals that you respect their time.
It forces you to cut out all the fluff. And our sources give us 3 really specific ways to frame that opening. The first one is the Q&A format.
This one works so well because it immediately sets up a problem-solution story that's easy to follow. You start with a pain point they already know, and then you just present your idea as the fix.
And the language is pretty structured. Something like, have you ever noticed this specific problem? Well, I've found the solution.
It creates that nice little tension and release.
But couldn't that start to sound a bit, repetitive, a bit like a TV commercial if you use it all the time?
That's a fair point. It's a risk. And that's why there are other options. The Q&A format is probably best when, the listener is aware of the problem, but maybe hasn't quite put their finger on a solution.
Okay.
But if they're, say, very analytical and just want the results, you might skip the drama and go for option 2, stating clear ambition.
I like this one. It's so direct. It just cuts straight to the chase.
It does.
You just say, I want to make, and then you state exactly what you want to do. It just sounds confident, doesn't it?
It really does. It positions you as a leader, as someone decisive, which is perfect if you're pitching to someone who values efficiency above all else.
But there's a third way. This one's for a softer setting, maybe a brainstorming session or something more informal.
Yes, the informal context opener.
And this one is great because it makes the pitch feel less like a formal presentation and more like, you're just thinking out loud together.
Right. It feels collaborative from the start.
You'd open with something like, I've been thinking thinking a lot about that issue we talked about, and my idea is to explain your idea.
The power there is in that word we, or
Yeah.
framing it around an issue they're already thinking about. It just lowers their defenses and makes them feel like a partner in the idea already.
So 3 totally different strategic openings. The problem solver, the confident leader, and the collaborator.
You've got to choose wisely.
Okay, so the opening gets them hooked. But if the actual pitch doesn't solve a real business problem, then you've just wasted their time.
And that brings us to the next part. Satisfying the need.
This is all about the brief.
Right. Now, a brief can be a literal list of requests, but really, it just represents the company's need, the gap in the market that your idea has to fill.
Okay, but what if there's no, official written brief? Like you just get a great idea in the shower and you want to pitch it to your boss. What then?
That's a great question. And in that case, well, you basically have to create the brief yourself. You have to identify the need for them.
So the golden rule is always the same.
Always. Your pitch has to satisfy a need. If you can't show how your idea helps the organization, more revenue, lower costs, happier customers, it's just not going to get any traction. You have to show the value right away.
And you can't just say it's valuable. You have to prove it. The sources suggest using that internal language like, this will satisfy our need for.
Or, even better, grounded in something external. Research shows our customers want more, and then you link that data point right back to your idea.
That brings up a good question, though. How much data is too much data? You're not writing a research paper here.
No, and you can easily overwhelm them with 5 slides full of charts.
The trick, then, is to use data like a surgeon.
Exactly. One single powerful data point, like our main competitor is getting a 20% lift from this, is so much more effective than a huge data dump. The data is just the justification for the idea. It's not the idea itself.
Right.
And once you've shown the value, you have to immediately deal with something the sources call out as crucial: diplomacy.
This is where so many good ideas die.
They really do. It's not about the idea. It's about coming off as arrogant.
You absolutely cannot criticize or put down past projects because the person you're pitching to, they might be the one who created that past project.
It's just smart workplace politics. If you attack the status quo, you've alienated them before they've even heard your solution.
So we need a toolkit, a diplomatic language toolkit. How do we bring in a new idea without making anyone defensive?
Okay, the sources give us 3 great linguistic tools. The first one is maybe the most constructive. It's introducing the gap.
Oh, the sound of that.
It acknowledges what's happening now, but gently points to what could be better. The language is very deliberate. I've been thinking about what we're missing in our current offer, and I think this fills that gap.
The we're missing part is key. It's collaborative. It says the current thing is good, but just incomplete.
It's constructive, not critical. Then there's the second way. Acknowledging past success. This is a bit more cautious. You're building up goodwill before you introduce the change.
So you might say something like, we've come a long way, but I think working in this way can only get us so far.
Exactly. It frames the old way as a necessary part of the journey, but it signals that the future needs something new. The only risk is it might make your idea sound a little slow, a little too incremental.
Which brings us to the third tool, which feels like the safest one.
It is building on foundation.
This frames your idea as an evolution, not a revolution. I want to build on our previous successes with something a bit different.
In phrases like that, they let you introduce something new without making anyone feel like their past work was a failure. It keeps the focus on moving forward, not on what went wrong before. So, we've hooked them with a great opening, we've shown the value in a diplomatic way, and now we're at the end, the finish. And the material's really clear on this. You cannot just let your pitch trail off.
That awkward silence.
Yes, you have to control the end of the conversation.
A controlled ending is so important because it tells everyone what happens next. Is it approved? Do they have questions? Is there a follow-up? You have to close with impact.
And the sources give us 4 really distinct ways to do that, each one focused on a positive outcome. The first is very audience-centric, customer or effect focus.
This brings it all back to the end user. You'd say something like, I think this will be an amazing new way to serve our customers. It's simple, everyone gets it, and it justifies the whole project.
The second technique is more strategic. It's capturing trends.
This is about elevating your idea beyond just a simple fix.
Right. You're connecting your pitch to a bigger industry shift or a societal trend. It shows that you're thinking ahead.
Yeah.
You're positioning your idea as something that can capture that trend and give people what they're looking for.
It makes the listener feel like they're investing in the future, not just patching a leak in the present. Okay, then we have number 3, which is all about psychology. Introducing urgency.
Urgency is so powerful, it triggers that fear of missing out. By showing your own excitement and talking about fast results, you push them from maybe later to we need to do this now.
The language is direct, right? If we act fast, I think we could see real success.
Yes, and that signals this isn't something to put on the back burner. The window of opportunity is right now.
It could be because of what competitors are doing or just where the market is.
Precisely. And then finally, the fourth way to close. This one is about handing control back to the listener and starting the discussion. It's inviting feedback.
This is the professional handoff. If it was an informal pitch, you could just ask, what do you think? Does it sound like something you'd be interested in?
Or for a more formal setting, you can clearly state, I'd welcome any questions you might have about this idea.
It's just a really clean, confident way to transition from your pitch to the actual conversation about it.
So if we pull this all together for you, the learner, mastering a pitch, is really about understanding that the structure is the preparation. It starts way before you even open your mouth with that practice and organization.
Then you move to that tight opening, using the strategic tension of the elevator pitch to get their attention.
And from there, it's the diplomatic middle. You're showing how you meet the brief, but using that specific non-critical language we talked about to introduce your new idea without, stepping on any toes.
And finally, you control that moment of decision with an impactful close driving home the benefit, the bigger opportunity, or the urgency to act now.
It's not just about what you say. It's about understanding why the language works, the psychology behind it. That's what makes an idea actually stick and, become a reality.
And this is where it gets really interesting thinking about the language we analyzed. We talked about 2 really different paths, didn't we? There's the diplomatic route of building on previous successes.
And then there's the more energetic route of introducing urgency to catch a trend.
So here's something to think about. In your own professional world right now, which is strategically better for you, is it safer and more effective to emphasize that incremental progress, to say, I want to build on our successes?
Or do you need to risk a more disruptive approach? To really lean into that speed and urgency to capture something big? Which strategy, based on the language we shared, feels more right for the environment you work in today?
Something to really mull over as you get ready to draft your next successful pitch. We'll see you next time for the next deep dive.